It's an honor tonight to rise and highlight the urgent need for the federal government to take action when it comes to ship recycling here in Canada, and especially on the west coast of British Columbia. In British Columbia, Mr. Speaker, over 900 vessels have been identified that are set to be recycled and retired. 90 of those vessels, Mr. Speaker, are over 500 tons, Mr. Speaker, and there isn't facilities that are designed to be able to recycle those vessels. In fact, 14 of the 90 vessels are owned by BC Ferries themselves, Mr. Speaker. Those vessels pose an immediate threat to coastal British Columbia waters, pristine waters that are critical to our food security, to our economy, Mr. Speaker, and our way of life. So here I am tonight to highlight the urgent need for the federal government investment in dry dock and port infrastructure to support ship repair, maintenance, and recycling in British Columbia and across Canada. Mr. Speaker, in Courtenay-Alberni, in my riding of Courtenay-Alberni, Courtenay-Alberni is uniquely positioned to serve as a potential hub for this critical work. With the active leadership of Sishat and Hupachesset First Nations, and now I know Huayet First Nation is also interested, and the engagement of the provincial government, local government, industry, labor, and education partners, a broad coalition has come together to chart a path towards an Indigenous-led Centre of Excellence in Sustainable Ship Recycling. This initiative is guided, of course, Mr. Speaker, by free, prior, and informed consent, and anchored in the principle of nothing about us without us. The Alberni Valley Ship Recycling Leadership Group has agreed on shared principles to ensure that this development meets the highest standards, Mr. Speaker. World-class environmental safeguards designed to meet or exceed the EU ship recycling regulation and align with the Hong Kong Convention. Transparent community engagement to ensure robust social license. Pragmatic phased build-out, beginning with scalable, compliant capacity while developing a long-term centre of excellence. A credible business case built on demand signals such as a master service agreement, potentially with BC Ferries, C-SPAN, and others, and supported by federal and provincial co-investment, which we're asking for tonight, Mr. Speaker. Investing in this infrastructure will strengthen Canada's marine and port capacity, create high-skilled, lasting employment, including Indigenous hiring pathways through North Island College and local partners, reduce environmental risks from aging and derelict vessels, and position Canada to meet growing international demand for sustainable shipyard services and ensure Canada meet NATO readiness obligations by securing modern domestic repair and recycling capabilities. With the Port Authority offering federal water lot and terminal assets, the province of British Columbia identified rural economic diversification and infrastructure program funding as an immediate tool. And partners like the Island Coast Economic Trust, who's helping steer the working group, BC Marine Industries and the BC Environmental Industry Association already advancing regulatory and business case work. The groundwork is in place. What is needed now is federal commitment to make sure this is a strategic nation-building investment, Mr. Speaker. And I urge the federal government to prioritize funding for ship repair, maintenance, and recycling infrastructure in the upcoming federal budget.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Employment and Jobs.
Mr. Speaker, our government recognizes the vital importance that marine transportation is to our economy. Our government is focused on building Canada strong, focused on supporting Canadian jobs here at home. That is why we have announced the National Shipbuilding Strategy, where we are investing in new ships. While we focus on building new ships, we must take into consideration at the same time older vessels are reaching the end of their service life.
We recognize that wrecks and abandoned ships can present dangers for the environment and public health and safety, as well as for local economies like the industries of fisheries and tourism. Transport Canada recognizes that there is increasing demand for ship recycling services in Canada, especially on the West Coast, and the importance of accessing responsible recycling options abroad. This includes aging government ships, abandoned ships, and industry ships.
This is the most environmentally sound method to dispose of a ship that reaches the end of its service life. Because ships are so large, skilled operators must use special procedures and equipment to dismantle them safely and in an environmentally sound way. This requires careful planning and safe handling of hazardous materials and strong protection for workers and the environment. Assurer le recyclage sécuritaire.
Ensuring that ships are recycled in a safe and environmentally responsible manner is a matter of shared jurisdiction, which requires collaborative leadership between administrations and federal departments. The federal government has jurisdiction on marine transport and navigation. It also manages the import and export of hazardous substances and applies the laws that protect Canadian waters.
Manage property and civil rights, as well as activities above the low tide line, including making and enforcing health and safety rules for local businesses. Municipalities control local zoning and land use and collect waste. Transport Canada is actively reviewing international developments, including the June 2025 entry into force of the Hong Kong International Convention for the Safe, Environmentally Sound Recycling of Ships and stricter European regulations. We are also considering the need for more ship recycling capacity in consultation with owners of facilities and fleets. The government is committed to working with provinces, territories, Indigenous communities, and industry stakeholders to take into account the views of all Canadians on this important issue and will seek further opportunities to do so. We know it is in Canada's interest to have sufficient, responsible ship recycling that protects our environment, supports economic development, and reflects the values of communities across this country and Canada's international commitments. Je remercie le député.
I'd like to thank the member for frequently raising this very important matter in the House.
For Courtenay-Alberni.
Mr. Speaker, as I identified earlier, 900 vessels are set to retire on BC's coast, 90 of them over 500 tons. BC Ferries has 14 of those vessels. One of those vessels, the Queen of Burnaby, is projected to cost over $10 million to recycle. Half of that money, Mr. Speaker, is to tow it to a yard in Halifax through the Panama Canal. Nobody thinks that's okay. And Mr. Speaker, if the government prioritizes funding for ship repair, maintenance, and recycling infrastructure in the upcoming federal budget, Canada can help solve an economic leakage. It can help deliver on its trade, defense, and environmental objectives while building an Indigenous-led, world-class marine capacity on the West Coast when it comes to ship recycling. We've seen what it looks like in Union Bay when it's done wrong. What we're trying to do, Mr. Speaker, is bring a solution that plugs an economic leakage and protects our environment and creates good-paying jobs.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, for many reasons, we need to access to more ship recycling, which must protect workers and the environment. Canada remains engaged in discussions with other countries on the global regulatory framework for ship recycling and any implications for ship recycling here in Canada. Canada has not yet decided to join the Hong Kong International Convention for the Safe and Environmentally Sound Recycling of Ships or adopt the European approach. Any new approach, of course, will require consultation with our provincial partners who are responsible for the protection of workers and the management of hazardous waste. We will continue to work with provinces, territories, Indigenous communities, and industry stakeholders and consider the views of all Canadians on this important issue.